Welcome to Chronicles of History, where we embark on a captivating journey through the annals of time. There is a lot of controversy about 1619 Jamestown not being the first of the slaves to the Americas. This is true. The school marks 1619 as the pivotal point in history, but slaves were here long before that. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this look back into history.
Preceding 1619, a huge number of Africans, both free and oppressed, supported the foundation and endurance of states in the Americas and the New World. They additionally battled against European abuse and, in certain occasions, blocked the efficient spread of colonization. Christopher Columbus probably shipped the principal Africans to the Americas in the last part of the 1490s on his campaigns to the island of Hispaniola, presently Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Their accurate status, whether free or subjugated, stays questioned. Yet, the timetable fits with what we are aware of the starting points of the slave exchange. European exchange of oppressed Africans started during the 1400s. The main model we have of Africans being taken, despite their desire to the contrary, and put on board European boats, would return the story to 1441, says Guasco, when the Portuguese caught 12 Africans in Cabo Branco, current Mauritania in North Africa, and carried them to Portugal as subjugated people groups. In the 1500 years, the Roman Catholic Church partitioned the world 50, giving Portugal an imposing business model on exchange West Africa and Spain the option to colonize the New World as it's continued looking for land and gold. Pope Nicholas V floated Portuguese endeavors and gave the Romanus Pontifex of 1455, which certified Portugal's restrictive privileges to domains it asserted along the West African coast and the exchange from those areas. It allowed the option to attack, loot, and diminish their people to never-ending bondage. Sovereign Isabella put resources into Christopher Columbus's investigation to build her riches, and eventually dismissed the subjugation of local Americans, asserting that they were Spanish subjects. Spain laid out an asiento, or contract, that approved the immediate shipment of hostage Africans for exchange as human products, the Spanish provinces in the Americas. Ultimately, other European country states, the Netherlands, France, Denmark, and Britain, looking for comparable financial and international influence, participated in the exchange, trading products and individuals with pioneers along the West African coast who ran self-supporting social orders known for their mineral-rich land and abundance in gold and other exchange merchandise. They contended to get the asiento and colonize the New World. With these endeavors, another type of bondage appeared. It was supported by the European country states and in light of race, and it brought about the biggest constrained movement on the planet. A few 12.5 million everyone of African plunge were constrained into the transoceanic slave exchange. The offer of their bodies and the result of their work created the Atlantic world, including pioneer North America. In the settlements, status started to be characterized by race and class, and whether by custom, case regulation, or rule, opportunity was restricted to keep up with the undertaking of subjection and guarantee power. In the locale that would turn into the U.S., there were no oppressed Africans before the Spanish control of Florida in the mid-16th 100 years, as per Linda Haywood and John Thornton, teachers at Boston College and co-creators of Focal Africans, Atlantic Creoles, and the Underpinning of the Americas, 1585-1660. There were huge numbers who were gotten as soon as 1526, says Haywood. That year, a portion of these oppressed Africans turned out to be important for a Spanish campaign to lay out a station in what is currently South Carolina. They revolted, keeping the Spanish from establishing the state. It is accepted the primary Africans brought to the settlement of Virginia a long time back were Kimbundu-talking people, groups from the realm of Naongo, situated in piece of present-day Angola. Slave merchants constrained the prisoners to walk a few hundred miles to the coast to board the San Juan Bautista, one of something like 36 overseas Portuguese and Spanish slave ships. The boat set out with around 350 Africans ready. However, yearning and sickness incurred significant damage. In transit, around 150 prisoners died. Then, when the San Juan Bautista moved toward what is currently Veracruz, Mexico in the late spring of 1619, it experienced two ships, the White Lion and another English privateer, the Financier. The teams raged the weak slave transport and held on to 50 to 60 of the leftover Africans. Later, the pair cruised for Virginia. As verified by Rolfe, when the White Lion showed up in what is currently present-day Hampton, Virginia, the Africans were offloaded and purchased for victuals. Lead Representative Sir George Yeardley and head trader Abraham Piercy procured most of the prisoners, the vast majority of whom were kept in Jamestown, America's most memorable and extremely durable English settlement. The appearance of these 20-and-odd Africans to Britain's central area, American settlements in 1619, is currently a point of convergence in history educational plans. The date and their story have become representative of servitude's foundations, in spite of hostage Africans probably being available in the Americas during the 1400s, and as soon as 1526 in the locale, that would turn into the U.S. A few specialists, including Michael Guasco, a teacher at Davidson School and creator of Slaves and British Chaps, Human Servitude in the Early Present-Day Atlantic World, alert about putting an excess of accentuation on the year 1619. To disregard what had been going on with relative recurrence in the more extensive Atlantic world over the first 100 years or so downplays the genuine severity of the continuous slave exchange, of which the 1619 gathering were without a doubt a section, and limits the huge African presence in the Atlantic world to that point. Guasco makes sense of. Individuals of African plummet have been here longer than the English provinces. Before 1619, countless Africans, both free and oppressed, helped the foundation and endurance of states in the Americas and the New World. They additionally battled against European persecution and, in certain cases, blocked the precise spread of colonization. The uprising didn't stop the inflow of subjugated Africans to Spanish Florida. We don't have the foggiest idea the number of followed. However, there was unquestionably a slave populace around St. Augustine, says Haywood. Africans likewise assumed a part in Britain's initial colonization endeavors. Oppressed Africans might have been ready Sir Francis Drake's armada when he showed up at Roanoke Island in 1586 and neglected to lay out the main, long-lasting English settlement in America. He and his cousin, John Hawkins, made 3 journeys to Guinea and Sierra Leone and subjugated somewhere in the range of 1,200 and 1,400 Africans. Albeit not piece of present-day America, Africans from the West Indies were additionally present in the English state of Bermuda in 1616, where they gave master information on tobacco development to the Virginia Organization. The utilization of oppressed workers was confirmed, and its constant development was advanced through the formation of a Virginia regulation in 1662 that proclaimed that the situation with the youngster followed the situation with the mother, which implied that subjugated ladies brought forth ages of offspring of African drop who were presently viewed as wares. This regular increment permitted the provinces, and afterward the U.S., to turn into a slave country. The law additionally got abundance for European homesteaders and ages of their relatives, even as free individuals of color could be legitimately denied from handing down their abundance to their youngsters. Simultaneously, racial and class progressive systems were being coded into regulation. During the 1640s, John Punch, a dark worker, got away from servitude with 2 white obligated workers. When gotten, His associates got extra long stretches of subjugation, while Punch was resolved oppressed forever, directly following Bacon's resistance, in which free and oppressed individuals of color fell in line with unfortunate white individuals and yeoman white ranchers against the public authority. More rigid regulations were ordered that characterized status in light of race and class. Individuals of color in America were being oppressed forever, while the assurances of whiteness were formalized. Subjugated individuals of color came from locales and ethnic gatherings all through Africa. However they came with nothing, they conveyed with them recollections of friends and family and networks, virtues, scholarly understanding, creative gifts and social practices, strict convictions and abilities. In their new climate, they depended on these recollections to make new practices imbued with old ones. In the Low Country district of the Carolinas and Georgia, Grower explicitly mentioned gifted oppressed individuals from a locale extending from Senegal to Liberia, who knew about the circumstances ideal for developing rice. Charleston immediately turned into the most active port for individuals delivered from West Africa. The looped or woven containers used to isolate rice grains from husks during harvest were a type of masterfulness and innovation brought from Africa to the States. Albeit the containers were utilitarian, they likewise filled in as a wellspring of creative pride and a method for remaining associated with the way of life and memory of the country. We hold these bits of insight to be plainly obvious that all men are made equivalent, that they are blessed by their Maker with specific unalienable privileges, that among these are life, freedom, and the quest for bliss. So starts the announcement of autonomy, the record that at last prompted the production of the U.S. Yet the words highlight the oddity the country was based on. Even as the Pilgrims battled for independence from the English, they kept up with subjection and stayed away from the issue in the Constitution. Subjugated individuals, notwithstanding, quickly jumping all over any chance to get their opportunity. Some battled for it through military help in the progressive conflict, whether serving for the English or the Loyalists. Others profited from continuous liberation established in states like Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey. In New York, for instance, kids brought into the world after July 4th, 1799 were legitimately free when they turned 25, in the event that they were ladies, or 28, assuming they were men. The law was intended to repay slaveholders by keeping individuals oppressed during a portion of their most useful years. However, the interest for a developing oppressed populace to develop cotton in the profound South was unfaltering. In 1808, Congress executed the Demonstration Precluding Importation of Slaves, which ended the country's lawful contribution in the global slave exchange, yet put new accentuation on the homegrown slave exchange, which depended on trading subjugated individuals of color currently in the nation, frequently isolating them from their friends and family. Furthermore, the global exchange went on unlawfully. The following constrained movement of more than 1,000,000 African Americans toward the South ensured political capacity to the slave-holding class. The 3/5 provision that the grower Tip-Top had gotten in the Constitution held that 3/5 of the subjugated populace was included in deciding a state's populace and, in this way, its legislative portrayal. The financial and political power get built up, the severe arrangement of servitude. After the progressive conflict, Thomas Jefferson and different legislators, both slaveholding and not, composed the records that characterize the new country. In the underlying draft of the Statement of Freedom, Jefferson censured Lord George III of England for participating in the slave exchange and disregarding supplications to end it, and for calling upon the subjugated to ascend and battle for the benefit of the English against the Pilgrims. This language was extracted from the last record nonetheless, and all references to bondage were eliminated in staggering difference to the report's initial assertion on the uniformity of men. Jefferson was a long-lasting enslaver. He acquired subjugated individuals of color. He fathered oppressed dark youngsters, and he depended on subjugated individuals of color for his job and solace. He straightforwardly hypothesized that individuals of color were substandard compared to white individuals and constantly supported for their expulsion from the country. In 1791, Benjamin Banneker, a free dark mathematician, researcher, stargazer, and assessor, contended against this mentality when he kept in touch with Jefferson, then Secretary of State, encouraging him to address his restricted biases and to destroy that train of crazy and misleading thoughts and conclusions which, so for the most part, wins as for us. Banneker likewise censured Jefferson's slaveholding in his letter and incorporated a composition of his chronicle, which would be printed the next year. Jefferson was unconvinced of the mental prowess of African Americans, and in his quick answer, just noticed that he invited such evidences as you display of individuals of color with abilities equivalent to those of different shades of men. On September 22, 1862, Abraham Lincoln gave the Fundamental Liberation Decree, expressing that in the event that the alliance didn't end its disobedience by Jan. 1863, all people held as slaves in the states that had withdrawn would be free. The alliance didn't agree, and the announcement became real. Be that as it may, the liberation announcement liberated just those subjugated in the revolting states, roughly 3.5 million individuals. It didn't make a difference to a portion of 1,000 subjugated individuals in slaveholding states that weren't essential for the alliance: Kentucky, Maryland, Missouri, Delaware, and what might turn out to be West Virginia, or to those individuals in pieces of the alliance that were at that point under Northern control. They remained oppressed until General Robert E. Lee gave up at Appomattox in April 1865. The opportunity guaranteed by the announcement and the authority-legitimate finish of subjugation didn't happen until the confirmation of the 13th Amendment on December 6, 1865. Really, at that time, was the oppression of bondage genuinely finished? In any case, the Liberation Decree was profoundly significant to the local area of previously oppressed African Americans and their partners. Yearly liberation festivities were laid out, including Juneteenth, the nation over. African American get-together spots were named Liberation Park, and the expressions of the Declaration were perused out loud as an update that African Americans, subjugated and free, by and large battled for opportunity for all and changed a whole country.
I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this cleared up some of the disagreements about the first slaves in the Americas. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to join our community of history lovers. Let's embark on this incredible voyage together, unraveling the chronicles of history one story at a time. Until next time, thanks for watching.